Good morning, children. So, children, we were discussing the chapter The Industrial Revolution, right? Now, today we are going to discuss about the protest movement. Now, people will tolerate unjust to some limit, right? But after that, they will protest, and the people got the idea and the inspiration from the French Revolution of 1789, as it was based on movement for liberty, equality, and fraternity. Isn't it? I hope you all have remembered the French Revolution of 1789. That movement was for liberty, equality, and fraternity. Isn't it? Now, people they started to protest as they had to work under harsh working condition, long hours they need to work, and at low wages. So they demanded to limit the working hours. That means they should have fixed hour of working and to provide better condition for their work and to increase the wages. But the powerful one, that is a powerful authority, one had tried to suppress their demand. So Parliament in 1795 passed two combinations Act, that is Parliament in 1795 passed two combination act which made it illegal to incite the people by speech or writing to hatred or contempt of the king, constitution or government, and ban unauthorized public meeting of over 50%. So according to this act, to conduct public meeting, to publish a newspaper about any people will be illegal. Clear, that will be treated illegal, and also against king you can't do anything. Clear. Now after that another movement also began known as Ludism, that is in 1811 to 1817. So in this movement what people they have demanded is that they demanded for minimum wage, minimum working hour, and right to vote should be given. Clear. But its participants have demanded, that is a minimum wage, control over the labor of women and children, work for those who had lost their job because of the coming of the machinery. Clear, as machinery was set up in the factory, then the handmade thing has been abolished. So the people they have lost their job, and the right to form trade union so that they could legally present their demand. But their demand was suppressed as because if they got the right to vote to put their demand, then the power of the big landlords or the powerful authority could not be there. Clear, that means they could not run anymore. So in August 1819, 80,000 people gathered peacefully at St. Peter Field in Manchester. For what purpose? To claim democratic right of political organizations, of public meeting, and of the freedom of the press. Clear? But they were suppressed brutally in what we came to know as the Peterloo. Clear? In Peterloo, they were totally been suppressed. But there was some gain, we can say, that after Peterloo, the need to make the House of Commons more representative was recognized by liberal political group, and the Combinations Act were repealed in 1824 to 25. Clear, that is, restriction was done on their demand, but there was some gain also at the last. Clear. Now children, next we will see the reform through law. So what reform was been brought and what law was been implemented? So let's see about that. Clear. Now law was passed in 1819 prohibiting the employment of children under the age of 9 in factories and limiting the hours of the work of those between the age of 9 and 16 to 12 hours a day. Clear. But this law lacked the power needed for its enforcement. It was not that until 1833, after intense protests by the workers throughout the north of England, that an act was passed that permit children under 9 to be employed only in silk factories. Clear? Limited the hour, that is, it has limited hour of works for the other older children, and provided a number of factory inspector to ensure that the act was enforced. Clear? Finally, in 1847, 10-hour bill was passed. So, according to this 10-hour bill, that is, the working hour has been limited for women, men and children, that is, they will not work for more than 10 hours a day. But this bill was passed but was not ensured properly, nor it was effective. Clear? So as many children was put into mining industry, so the mines commissions of 1842 was been passed by the government, as working condition in mines had become more worse. Clear? As the act of 1833, as you all know, that children were under the 9, that is, children under the age of 9, to be work in silk factories. But actually, children were put on to work to the coal mines. Clear? So the mines and the Collieries Act of 1842 banned children under 10 and women from working the underground. Clear? Now, Fielder's Factory Act also laid down in 1847 that according to this act, that children under 18 and women should not work more than 10 hours a day. But children, what happened out there is that this law was to be enforced by the factory inspector. That means a factory inspector was been appointed who was supposed to look after all this law. Clear? That is, the law is been enforced or not properly. But this was very difficult for them to do because the inspector were poorly paid and easily bribed by the factory manager. Clear? That means the inspector were given, which we call in Hindi, riswat. Clear? That bribed by the factory manager. That means lump sum of money has been given to them. Now whatever is going on, they are just doing unseen to that all wrong thing and just they are giving the report that everything is good. Clear? Now, apart from this inspector, parents also lied. That means they also tell lie about the real age of their children. If suppose the children were supposed to work after age of 18, they are saying that my child is of 19 years old and they have been appointed to work. Clear? And why the parent started to say lie is that so that they could work and contribute to the family incomes. If the children, if their parents are saying that my children is of age of 19, then only the children they are getting the job. Clear? And if they are working, they are earning some money and it's that money is supporting to the family income. Clear? Now, next we will see that our last topic, that is the debate on the Industrial Revolution. Clear? Now, debate on the Industrial Revolution. First of all, until the 1970s, historians used the term Industrial Revolutions for the change that occurred in Britain from the 1780s to the 1820s. Clear? From them, it was challenged on various grounds. Now, what is the actual definition of the Industrial Revolution? Now, in simple terms, Industrial Revolution is a kind of investment. Clear? And led the growth, that means a kind of investment which led to the growth in the economic of the country. Clear? Now, the first Industrial Revolution occurred between 1780 to 1850s. Right? But many historians and many philosophers were there, they said that the Industrial Revolution first occurred after 1850s. Okay, so for that we had used the word first Industrial Revolution as because before and after 1815 to 20, it has suggested, that is this time period has suggested that sustained industrialization was to be seen after rather than before this date. Why? Because the decades after 1793 had experienced the disruptive effect of the French Revolution and Napoleon War, Industrialization is associated with a growing investment of the country wealth in capital formations or building infrastructure and installing new machinery, and with rising the level of efficient use of this facility. Clear? And with rising productivity. So, during this time, what we can see or what we understood is that during this time, only development and changes has taken place. Clear? But by the term revolution, what we mean? By the term revolution, we mean sudden change, right? So, 1780 to 1850s, it took 70 years. Clear? So, children, it cannot be revolution. It is just a development or changes that took place. We cannot call it revolution, as because revolution is sudden change in small sphere of time. As from the 1850s, you could see that the proportion of the people living in urban area went up dramatically. That means there was a drastic change we could see, and most of these were workers in the industry and the working class. Okay, only 20% of the Britain workforce now lived in the rural area. Understood? That is, revolution is actually a sudden change that occur with in a sudden sphere of time, or we can say drastic change that used to take place. That is a revolution. Okay. Now the historian named A.E. Morrison has suggested that he has said that there are goods ground for regarding the period, that is 1850 to 1914, as that in which the industrial revolution really occurred on a massive scale, transforming the whole economic and society much more widely and deeply than the earlier change had done. Clear? So children, we have completed our chapter. So just go through this text, because many objective we will get from this chapter. Clear? So thank you.